cutest little things.
What was that? Get out of there. Leave!
Hi there, Internet. It's Anthony, and I'm doing another reaction. Haunting of Hill House, Episode 2, Open Casket. Last episode, Steven saw a ghost, and it was Love. She was making crazy faces, or I guess in this case it was Nell, or what was her name? Nell? I think. I'm learning names. I'm gonna get them. I think her name was Nell. It's Love in the other show, but or in another show. But yeah, also I realized where I recognized the actor that plays Luke from. He was in the movie The Invisible Man, which I actually got caught for pirating once because I accidentally forgot to turn off my seeding after my VPN went off. And so my internet service provider emailed me like, you have been caught doing illegal content activity or whatever. This is your final warning, or I don't know, some type of email like that. Random, irrelevant story. Let's get into the reaction.
Nellie's in the red room.
Nellie's in the red room. And I'm guessing it's the red room, the room that they couldn't get into.
Her fingers were purple. She did have teeth, and she did not have hair. I don't
She
wanna
did
see her
not
again,
have hair.
especially like that. So I'm not gonna look at her tomorrow, and
So she stays fixed forever. Then we put her in her favorite clothes. And finally, I take extra special care to make sure she looks just like she's supposed to, like she always
She
did,
won't
just
look like
you remember
Voldemort
her.
anymore.
When you're little, you learn how to see things that aren't there. And when you grow up, you learn how to make them real.
which is my room.
But by the time you grow up, you
That's
forgot
really
what
big.
you saw. And you
But
can't
on
see
the
him no
second
more.
floor, this is the ground floor.
Uh-oh. Oh, snap. That's who he was drawing.
I appreciate your advice.
Faye Hill. All the hills. Are these the people that they've been seeing, I wonder? Because there's a lot of graves here right outside the house. And we saw them people standing in the house last episode.
Oh,
Wow.
hi.
Little kittens.
Where's your mommy?
What if their mommy came out and attacked her?
Hey,
Their
how'd you
mommy's
get
probably
in here,
something
huh?
really scary.
Where's your mommy cat? Cutest little things.
What was that? Get out of there. Stop looking at... Leave.
It's a wasp nest. Probably an old one.
Very old.
So you're gonna act like that doesn't look like a face?
I've seen a nest built around a wind chime. Looks. I don't blame you for screaming.
Yeah. Built it around this.
Ah.
Here, I will show you.
Man, why they got that shadow creeping in all scary?
Right back here.
Sorry, we didn't hear the door.
It's okay.
I love how I swear to be
wanted
like
to drop
on
these
shows
off.
like this, like everything is set up in a way to kind of be scary, even if it's not meant to be scary at all. Or maybe it's just the way you're looking at it, because that shadow looks so scary for no reason. I feel like if it was a different show, it wouldn't have looked scary.
Like we discussed.
Okay, I just took a quick little break from watching the episode and read like a character map, without spoilers, of course, of each of the characters, so that I just know who is who and can put name with faces for sure. So I think I got it now. Like there's like Olivia Crane and Hugh Crane are the parents. Steven is the author and paranormal investigator. Shirley does like, has the funeral home. I don't remember exactly what Theo does yet. And I remember that she was the one in the club in the last episode and who kicked the lady out of her room. And I remember that Luke is, has the drug problem and everything. And Nell, of course I know Nell. She's been easily the most memorable one. And now I also, because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit lost in the timeline on this episode. And that's just not because it's like confusing, but just because I think not completely knowing the characters was throwing me off. But I get it now that this episode is like, now we're focusing on Shirley's perspective. Whereas last episode we were focusing on Steven's perspective. So that's why like we're just in a bit of, so that's why we're still jumping around in time, but it's not a continuation from last episode's time. Like we're moving forward while still jumping around. It's like we went back and now we're jumping around again, if that makes sense. So Now that I have that understanding, I feel a lot better equipped to follow along moving forward. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was feeling just a little bit lost right now because I was like, I kept on getting Shirley confused with their mother, and thinking because I would think it was a flashback, but then it wasn't, and that was really starting to bother me. And I don't like not understanding what's going on, and I feel like it's not that complicated. For some reason, I'm just having a lot of trouble differentiating each of these characters' faces right now, and I know that's probably frustrating for you to watch. So I just had to go in and fix that. You know what I mean?
It's fine.
I mean, I could still do
Just pay
some
me
of
back when you're a famous writer.
You might not want to hold your breath. Apparently, historical fiction is out of vogue.
So this was before he had struck it big with
You're all
his
set.
paranormal stories.
Yeah. No,
Delicious.
They smell like cat piss.
Jaden.
I said, watch your tone.
She's
Unless
just
you wanna
flinging
spend
food
the
around
holidays
the room.
Captain Grounded.
I don't know. It was
Don't
weird.
do that.
Solo
Now y'all
account
gonna have
with names on the
bugs.
checkbook.
Did you eat all of your food?
Yes.
Yes. You mean all those Brussels sprouts on the floor over there?
What?
Huh?
What do you want? I don't even. Why are you banging on the wall?
So scary.
I'm not. You are. And call.
That's the dogs.
They are again.
And that's Theo and Shirley, right?
Banging
I'm
on
learning
the wall
now.
to tell me about the stupid dogs.
Is he gonna bust out?
Pipes.
Oh my
The hot
god.
water pipes. Jumping
Why do the
walls.
adults never see this crazy stuff?
That's what it was.
Pipes are making paintings literally leave
over now,
the
right?
wall. They were like 4 inches away from the wall.
It's
Man, what is up with this show, man? That took me off guard.
No.
So this is catching us back up to where we were last
Yeah.
episode.
What do you say?
that she killed herself. I didn't. He didn't exactly tell me. I couldn't really hear him because I saw.
No.
I love how Steve can't even
Do
like
that again.
say what
he
he
can't
saw.
just not tell us what happened. He can't.
I'm scared. Dang, that one dead.
Rest.
I bet all them other cats gonna end up dying too.
Can I see her? And she never heard a single thing in her whole life, and not many people can say that.
I mean,
That's perfect.
it's not that hard to not heard anything when you were only live for like
Bye, little kitty.
a few days or something. Like,
Safe trading, and
oh, it's alive.
she's alive.
Or she's about to do something
She's
scary.
alive. Wake up, little kitty. It's me. You're okay. I'm right here. It's okay.
That thing possessed. Get it off of you. Why are you just looking at that thing crawling you?
You can do this. I'll go with you.
Shirley.
Wow.
gonna
So
be
she
okay,
can't
Shirley.
remember being in his exact shoes.
want to see her. I owe her this.
This is too much for anyone.
The hours, the bugs. I'm doing it, Kevin.
Yeah, that would be very disturbing. Doing the what's the word? The embalming and all the fixing up of your own sister.
I gotta go.
I be thinking about how
Sorry. I
interesting that is
just
of a
can't.
job just in general. Like, you know, seeing dead people like that. like that would kind of freak me out. I'm not gonna lie. So doing it with somebody you know and know that closely, wow. Sheesh. I guess it is what you would expect to see, but it's not what
Feed the kittens?
you would imagine.
Just remember how. Are they still sleeping?
Are the rest of them dead?
Well, that's what's happening, Steve.
They said that these kittens, there was 5 of them, and she was like, that's like how it's 5 of us. Are they gonna kind of like foreshadow anything with the siblings? Like it's the first one that just died matching with Shirley? I mean, not with Shirley, I'm sorry, but matching with Nell? But if they all die, then I guess, like...
Get here?
Just get
You're taking on.
Just tell me.
Just
Why would you give
hang on,
away
hang
the
on.
last
Just
one, the
chill,
only
just-
one
just-
left?
Just quiet.
It's not fair.
Just
It's not fair. Stop it.
How the hell did you let her keep those kittens?
Well, I didn't know that they were all gonna die.
You let her keep a box of diseased kittens in her bedroom. And
When you put it
now
like
she's
that, it does sound pretty
traumatized.
bad, but I
Her
mean...
first real brush with
This was not our finest hour, no doubt.
Why they end the scene like that? Like, this was not our finest hour. Look, at the end of the day, I mean, like, they figuring it out, okay? Parenting, I don't know why I'm talking like I know anything, but parenting, I would imagine, never stops being hard. You're always probably learning a new lesson every day. So they learned a lesson. Don't let your child keep a random box of kittens.
Go pick your favorite picture of Auntie Nell from one of the albums. I can hang it at the funeral.
I like the way they do transitions in this show where they kind of match up with things, you know. Hope her eyes doesn't do the same thing the kitten's eyes did. I'm just so nervous she about to... Whoa! It feels like it's coming, doesn't it? Chill out. Chill out. I just know it's coming. I'm like...
I'm so excited.
Man, I don't know. I know this show probably is not that type of show. You know what I mean? To do stuff like that. It feels like it's... Because I feel like that stuff is kind of just easy. So I know it's probably not even that type of show. It feels like it might be a little bit of a more classier, higher tier show than to just out of nowhere. But I still be feeling like it's about to happen.
You know what I mean?
And when they do that, not saying they would never do that, but when they do that, they're going to earn it because they're going to do it a million times and not do it. And make you think they're going to do it.
Look at me.
What?
Look at me. You're high.
No, I'm not.
Do you have the day pass?
No, I'm not.
Very supportive.
We're gonna have a perfect wedding, Nellie.
almost perfect.
Why'd she say almost perfect? Because Luke wasn't there? Does she feel guilt about that?
I'm sorry.
Oh, snap. It's a much bigger version, but now it's not there, so was she imagining things?
No, that's what I do.
Is this what inspired her to want to go into that career?
You fixed her.
She looks amazed. What is that? Is that like from a window? The manifestation of a window? How real did that feel to you, Shirley? Because these characters always see some stuff like that and then they'd be like, oh, must have been imagining things. I'd be like, didn't that like really feel real to you though? Like, even if you think you were imagining things, as real as that must have felt to you, you might want to get that checked out. Because either there's something wrong with you or there's something wrong with this world. And not something wrong, like there's something wrong, like You know what I mean. There's nothing wrong if you're seeing things. There's nothing wrong with you. You might just have some type of mental thing going on. It's not a bad thing per se. It doesn't make you less of a person is what I'm saying. There's not a hidden ghost here, is it? I feel like it could be something right there, but I can't see really. I don't know, like, it's probably nothing. Oh, okay. The Forever House is blinking and flashing. Man, okay, I like that episode. I actually like that episode more than the first episode. Not because I think it was better than the first episode, just because I'm finally starting to get an idea of what's going on. Not like I know what's going on in terms of like why is the house doing the things it's doing and why is Nell dying. I just know what's going on from a practical sense of who these people are and what this show is. The first episode, I was still trying to get the grasp of that. I'm understanding it now a lot better, I feel like. First of all, I know the characters' names and faces, both present and past, which is good progress. And I also feel like I'm starting to understand like what this show itself is. Like, this is not a haunted house show. This is not like a horror show. I mean, it has horror elements in it, but at the end of the day, this is a show that is just a study, display of this family and what has gotten them to where they are now, why they are the way they are, what they're dealing with, how they're going to continue to deal with these things. And we're probably going to be focusing in, I don't know this, but I'm assuming we're going to focus in on each sibling. There's 5 siblings, so maybe the first 5 episodes will be the 5 siblings. But last episode was Steven. This episode was Shirley. So I would just imagine that that's how the format of this show is going to work. So now that I understand all that, I just felt like I was doing a much better job of really grasping everything here. And once I go back and look at the first episode, I'll, get that one even more and understand what was happening there even more. So now that just made me like, okay, now I really feel invested. The first one, I was intrigued. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I'm interested to see where it's going to go from here, where they're going to take it. Now I can say I'm actually invested and I want to see what's going to happen with these characters over the course of this season. And also, now that I'm watching this show, by the way, on Netflix, you know how when you're looking at Netflix, they put up the little preview things when you don't touch it long enough. So, like the wallpapers of different shows or the posters of different shows come scrolling through the screen. Well, the poster of The Haunting of Bly Manor be coming up now. And so I saw that, and I saw that it has some of the same characters on it. I thought that these shows were like completely separate or something, like, like American Horror Story has completely separate seasons, right? But I think that there are some similar characters or, characters from this show and that show. So that's interesting. So I guess maybe I'll react to that show as well. But anyway, I don't remember why I started saying that. I totally just lost my train of thought. But okay, back to this episode. I enjoyed the episode a lot. It was cool getting to look at Shirley this time and seeing Steven from a more outside perspective. So obviously last episode we kind of saw exactly what Steven is kind of like, where his head is at. And this episode we saw Shirley's perception of Steven in a lot of cases, like, which, in the sense that he kind of failed Nell in a way, but when he should have been looking out for her and stuff. And also he called her and he couldn't even say like really what he saw, because I guess it was a lot to handle, for one thing. But also we're seeing how like this stuff probably, these people are kind of skeptical about this stuff, but they've been seeing it since they were children. And maybe, I don't know what what things have been like in this gap of time period between when they were kids and now, but they saw stuff then, and maybe now they're just starting to see stuff again. Or maybe they've been seeing stuff this whole time. But if they've been seeing stuff this whole time, they're kind of weird for not doing anything. I know Steven hasn't, because he says he's never seen a ghost. But I mean, really, Steven? I mean, I guess he's wants to believe he's never seen a ghost, because he saw didn't he see like his mom or whoever that was running for that split second in the hallway? I guess he didn't see those ones that were standing there. He saw her when she was standing up in the house, right? But maybe he didn't believe that these things were ghosts. I don't know. Now, what's her name? Shirley. I mean, she also might say, oh, I've never seen a ghost. But at the same time, look at the stuff that she's seeing. Like, I feel like they're just kind of in denial. Like the way she was in denial about Nell dying. So, I don't know. I mean, like, you saw them walls shaking so hard that the paintings were, like, swinging off of the wall, like, very far. It wasn't no pipes. But they might just be, you know, kind of retconning it in their head of how it went and, you know, believing it went differently and reimagining it to think, oh, maybe it was my childhood imagination. I don't know. But I just really think that at this point, they've seen enough to maybe they should start considering maybe I actually am seeing this. And like I said, either that means they're seeing it and it's just a mental thing, or maybe it's really there. I mean, if that was happening to me, probably my first assumption would not be that is, well, I guess maybe my first assumption would be that it's really there, because I wouldn't just think, oh, I'm seeing things, what's going on. I'd probably be like, oh my goodness, supernatural stuff actually exists if I saw a ghost or something, which would actually also be hard for me because I'm kind of skeptical too. Like, I don't really believe in stuff like that at all. Like, it would take a lot to convince me that ghosts exist. I'm not gonna lie, it would take a whole lot. Like, I would literally have to see a ghost like rise from the ground before me right now and like scream in my face the way Nell was in order for me to believe. And I would have to stay awake and not do anything and really realize that I'm actually awake to believe that. Even then, I still might not believe it. I don't know. I probably think I was imagining things. But if it happened recurringly, okay, I am so off topic right now, aren't I? Well, not that off topic. I don't know. I get kind of, I feel like I'm rambling. But back to the episode again. So I'm really glad that they decided to go back and show us even more about what happened when they were at the house. Like, since last episode, they showed us them in the house, but then it gets to, I guess, the last time they were at the house, which is when they all had to run and leave and escape. But I'm glad that now we're getting those blanks filled in, so it's not like last episode was the only one with flashbacks. So that's really cool, and I'm really liking those flashbacks too. I mean, I like the present day stuff, but I do oftentimes find myself a little bit more interested in the flashbacks and stuff. So I think the show is cool so far. It's doing a good job of, you know, building intrigue, making you want to know what's happening. I think the writing is pretty good. It's hard for me to really tell just yet if it's like good writing or if it's like, you know, next level, like, you know, supreme writing. Like, I mean, I think certain shows just have that, you know, extra oomph to the writing where you're like, oh, this is an elite show. Some shows, you know, good writing, you know, it's not bad. It's good writing. It's really solid. It's really entertaining. You just might not put it in that elite level. And few shows are in that elite level. So, I mean, anyway, so I think the writing is good so far, is how I would categorize it. And I think the acting is okay. Like, I guess they haven't really had a lot to really sink their teeth into yet. So, I mean, so far the acting has been cool to me. Like, I mean, like, I haven't seen anything that's just been like, oh my goodness, like this acting is, and by the way, I'm not one of those people that just think that a crying scene is automatically good acting, by the way. But why am I feel like I'm all over the place right now with this review. But anyway, so I feel like the acting's been pretty good. Like, I still got to see more of that as well, just to really get a sense of, you know, how well the actors are inhabiting these characters and bringing them to life. Like, I'm getting a decent sense of them so far, but I feel like I'm gonna need those individual episodes of each one to really start to fill them out, you know what I mean? And then once we get beyond the individual episodes, I'm curious to see how the show's gonna progress from there and what the format is gonna be like. But by then, we'll probably be really like in tune to who each of these characters are. So that's a nice way of starting the season out. The cat storyline, little kittens, that was cool. It was, of course, it was gonna go somewhere. Hold on, let me look at this scene again. I'm trying to make sure that was exactly what it was. Hey. Was that really what it was the first time?
Hey, how'd you get in here?
Was it really just a wasp nest? Because it looked scarier, I'm not gonna lie. It looked like a cat that was like tortured. Okay, I'm gonna try to pause it. Hey, I guess that's exactly, I don't know. It just looks so spooky right there. It looks really spooky right there, but I guess that really is all it was. Okay, so let's see, what else did we get this episode? There was the migraines with the mother. That's probably foreshadowing what's going to happen with her. Like maybe those migraines are connected with how either whatever is in the house is getting to her, or maybe that's a sign that it's already gotten to her. But she said that it had been a year since the last time, so maybe something in the house is triggering them. I don't know, but that's definitely important. We see that what's her name, Shirley, feels guilt about what I'm thinking, if I'm reading it correctly, is that she feels guilt about not allowing Luke to go to the wedding, because it sounded like Nell was like, it's almost perfect, but Luke's not here. I'm assuming that's what she meant by that, and that's why she started apologizing to her before that thing crawled out of the mouth, which is another thing we got. Dead bodies with stuff crawling out of the mouth. So that thing was smaller in the cat, bigger on Nell, of course, and we don't know if it was real or not, but I imagine it was. I imagine she wasn't just imagining that. But somehow these things are able to mess with their minds and make them see things that aren't really there. I think that's kind of how you would describe it. Like, it's not really there, but it's also not just in her head. Like, something is projecting that onto her. And Nell's body being there is able to, facilitate that, I think, because it has the energy from that house. So there's that. The other kittens died, except for the one that eyes opened and were that weird color, and it was all, Could that be foreshadowing? Like maybe one of the siblings is gonna get possessed or something, or look like that? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of how they might be gonna relate the siblings into the kittens, if they are. They might not. But yeah, so that was cool too. It was cool seeing the parallel between the little boy and Shirley when she was a kid, and now I guess we understand why she decided to do what she does, So that's a cool little origin story for her as well. Oh, go back to this. Let me see this one again too. So that'll do it for this one. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and be sure to head on over to Patreon for the full reactions way ahead of the YouTube schedule. Till next time, I'm Anthony. This was The Haunting of Hill House, and I'll see you all later.